So Doyle is asking, how many children 2 years of age and under were murdered when Herod ordered the slaughter in an attempt to eliminate Jesus?
Hey, Doyle. So great question. And let's take a quick look at the verse here. And this is about all that we have in the Bible on this, more or less. I mean, there's a prophecy. I'm not going to read the prophecy, but this comes from Matthew chapter 2, verse 16. And it says, then, sorry, then Herod, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men. So wise men were supposed to come back to Herod and tell him where they found the Messiah. He was exceedingly angry, and he sent forth and put to death all the male children who were in Bethlehem and in all the districts from 2 years old and under. And actually, it should be Bethlehem and all its districts. And that's important here. So it's not all the districts of Judah, but just Bethlehem and all its districts. And the verse continues, according to the time which he had determined from the wise men. This is often referred to as the massacre of the innocents. And as you can tell from the verse here, it doesn't give us any sense of numbers. And my first thought was, well, let's check out what Flavius Josephus had to say on this. He was the Jewish historian from around this time period, or it came just a little bit after that. And it turns out he wrote nothing about it. He didn't think this was a big event, anything worth mentioning. So we look at other Christian traditions, and it's all over the place. There's some that say 14,000 kids were killed. Some said 144,000 kids were slain. But scholars who have really gone back and tried to do the math have counted and said there's probably was around 300-ish people in Bethlehem at the time. So the number of kids that would have been killed in this area would probably be more of like somewhere around 10 to 20 kids. Which this is actually kind of shocking to me because, like most of us, I think we are brought up with the understanding that it was just this huge massacre and thousands of kids are wiped out. But historically, it probably may have been a very small number. And it's not to say it wasn't a terrible thing, wasn't heartbreaking, it didn't fulfill prophecy. No, it did. This was prophesized. It did happen. We're just not given the scale of it, and the scale probably is much smaller than what most of us have been led to believe over time, interestingly. So I do think those huge numbers that are passed down by the Christian traditions probably very questionable, not grounded in historical fact, and probably more driven by a weird application of prophecy or a desire to really hype up the story. So this is something it would be interesting to see what happens over the years as more archaeology takes place, and maybe we'll discover something that gives us more specifics. But yeah, right now it's anybody's guess. So thank you for asking.
Tina, anything for you?
No, I've wondered that as well because I've heard different things, and it's kind of like you see any Bible movies growing up. It's kind of like this massive thing, and so the images may very well be much greater than what actually occurred. I guess like it's paralleled so much to also like what happened to Moses, like during his lifetime when Pharaoh was going to wipe out all the 2-year-olds and under in Egypt, which I think was probably I would assume be on a grander scale as well. But again, we don't know. Like, yeah, it's just one of those things. We're just not sure. Mm-hmm. But the fact that, but in a way too, it's like, it's one of those things that it's like one is too many. Like that should never have happened. And so whether it's 1 or 1,000, either way, it should never have happened. So
still tragedy.
Yeah, exactly.